Let's check out the surf scene with Ricky Grigg, Sue Peterson, Mike Benet as Frenchie, Greg Noll, Pam Douglas and John Teague, Diane Charles and Stubby. Well, who's looking at Stubby? And the world's greatest surfers. In the winter season, storms form in the northern Pacific and send giant waves crashing down on the Hawaiian Islands. But this is not Hawaii. This is Lada Bay, California. Surf-Ari is the story of waves that travel thousands of miles and challenge everything in their path. Surf-Ari is also the story of surfers that travel thousands of miles to meet that challenge. Not all surfers are eager to face a 20-foot wave. Some need a little coaxing. Hey, how about my board? About 5 miles north of Lada, hundreds of surfers and spectators have gathered at the Redondo Breakwater. Most surfers have never even seen surf this size, much less try to ride it. The word was out. Storms surf at Redondo, and every surfer for miles around headed for the breakwater. Unlucky Charlie got the word, but he should have stayed home. Unlucky Charlie's brother should have stayed home, too. Surfers will talk about this big December day at Redondo for years and brag about their perfect ride. There were a lot of perfect rides. All day long, surfer challenged wave and wave challenged surfer. No doubt this day will be remembered as one of the most dramatic in California surf history. Our Surf-Ari begins as we join two surfers heading out of the city to pick up their girlfriends and enjoy a day of surfing. The 1967 International Surf Champion is Ricky Grigg, a scholarship student. His friend John Teague is also a student and an outstanding surfer. It was about 50 years ago that the great Duke Kahanamoku introduced the art of surfing to Southern California. In the past 20 years, it has mushroomed from a few surfers scattered along the coast to a major sport now enjoyed by millions. Surfing has grown by leaps and bounds, primarily because it's such a fun sport. But it has its practical sides, too. Each year, surfers are credited with preventing hundreds of drownings. Inexperienced swimmers swept out to sea by riptides are not uncommon along our coast. Surfboards have been found to be the most practical way for rescues offshore. Most surfers have developed a healthy respect and appreciation for the sea. Whoever this guy in trouble is, he obviously is not a surfer. I've heard about those all-night parties on boats, but isn't this carrying it a little bit too far? Well, he's probably just smuggling another bag of Acapulco gold to the mafia. John thinks maybe a cup of his day-old instant coffee might fix him up. They quickly found out that the young Frenchman's jumping ship was no accident at all. He had planned for years to see California, and when he got his chance, he took it. He figures even if the immigration authorities do catch him and send him back, well, it'll still be worth the chance. John suddenly remembered the girls are waiting for them. Well, that young Frenchman seemed like a neat enough guy. But who will believe a ridiculous story like that? Especially Rick and John's girlfriends who've been waiting for over an hour. Rincon is one of the best surfing spots along the California coast, located just south of Santa Barbara. It's a point break and has one of the best shapes and longest rides to be found in California. Surfing has its own code of ethics. Watch what happens when a young surfer drops in front of Cooper.
Oh, a kook. Ah, good boy, Cooper. Wipe him out.
Man, that Bob Cooper sure got this place wired. Let's go out.
I think we have time for just how about that? 360.
Well, it was a good day at Rincon, and Rick and John are reluctant to leave, but there was a little matter that Rick and John had promised to teach the girls to surf. And, of course, the contest this afternoon. Cruising down the coast, the guys were having a rough time convincing the girls that they really rescued a young Frenchman. Well, you can't win them all. It's getting tougher and tougher to be a hero these days. Hey, look. Here's a break. Now maybe the girls will believe them. Rick figured they might as well give the guy a lift as far as Malibu. At least he wouldn't get pneumonia, you know. The young Frenchman told the gang his name was Mike Benet, but somehow Frenchy seemed more appropriate. Miss Natural Resources welcomes our gang. Sometimes Malibu gets pretty crowded, but luckily today there's hardly anyone out. Surfing on the West Coast more or less started and grew up on this beach. More surfers, including Ricky, have learned to surf here than at any other spot. When Ricky was 9 years old, Buzzy Trent took him out here at Malibu for a tandem ride. After a few blast-offs and splashdowns, Ricky was hooked. Only a few years ago, the old-timers were riding the big hollow paddle boards and the heavy redwood planks, and a little later, the slightly lighter balsa boards. But today, we see the water jam with the more maneuverable lightweight foam boards. Frenchie had never seen anything like it. You know, if a complete history of West Coast surfing is ever written, it will take the first chapter just to list the characters whose names are synonymous with Malibu. Guys like Simmons, Quigg, Velzy, Rockland, James, Morey, Lyndon Ford, Fane, and of course the #1 cat of Malibu, Mickey Dora. Some of the old salts will have you believe Malibu is ruined forever with Dora. Some of the old salts will have you believe Malibu is ruined forever with the invasion of the thousands of young Grammies. But one consolation, if you do make a mistake, forget it. It won't be noticed.
Wake up, wake up.
Ow. This has just got to be the best ride of the day. With the introduction of the new lightweight surfboards, it was only natural that new styles of surfing would develop. Dewey Weber is credited with developing the style that has become known as the hot dog. Performing on a wave was considered revolutionary. Dewey's nose rides and tricks were quickly imitated. Getting the most out of every wave was the new style that made Dewey the king of the hot doggers. Speaking of styles, this fiberglass jungle was also the birthplace of the topless style. But hardly anyone even noticed. There are many little spots nearby that are less crowded. Let's check out this one and give the girls a few surf lessons. Although surfing has become very competitive, many of the old-timers will tell you it was more fun in the good old days when surfing was more of a social get-together. Teaching a pretty girl can be fun, especially if she likes to go tandem. Paddling and waxing are fundamental steps. Now let's go out and try a few. Frenchie seemed to be enjoying his newfound friends, but he isn't so sure about the surfing sticks, as he called them. What guy doesn't like to show off a little to his girlfriend? Rick, of course, is much more at home in the Big Island surf, but John really digs these little California curls. John does a neat little cheater 5 and pulls out when the wave starts to section. Rick thinks a headstand might impress Sue. If this ride ever becomes popular, we might name it an El Reverso Cheater 10-finger head dip. Who the heck names these rides anyway? Frenchie was going out of his gourd. Sue thought she'd give it a try. Who knows? Maybe she too can do an El Reverso. Teague's getting warmed up for the contest. Well, Sue's not exactly breaking the sound barrier. Come on, Sue, do an El Reverso. That's more of a reverse spasimodo. Actually, it was a good first try. Frenchie's ridden belly boards in France, but never a surfboard, and there's quite a difference. Steady. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Well, he didn't quite get into orbit. This time, Rick told Frenchie to shift his weight back on the launch pad, and he took off like a V-2 rocket. Only this V-2 doesn't have retro fire, and he's in trouble. Fortunately, Frenchie bailed out in time, but the spacecraft got a small ding. Frenchie wanted to pay for the board, but Ricky told him no sweat. After all, what's a little ding? When the surf boom rocked California, surf shops sprang up all along the coast. Dale Velzy was one of the first and largest of the board makers. Rick asked Chowdown Charlie, where's Dale? Chowdown says he's out back rigging hard. Yep, there's old Dale slaving away. Rick and John have got a split for the contest. Velzy says let Frenchie stick around. He'll bring him over in half an hour. It takes a lot of hard work to shape a good custom board. Today's average surfboard costs well over 100 bills. Velzy's not only a top board designer, but he's also got other hobbies as well. Right now, he's going to try out his new dune buggy.
Frenchie, watch. I'll be back.